The scene, Cleveland's cavernous municipal stadium. The setting, one of the dramatic moments in sports. This is the day Paul Brown returns to the city where he founded a football dynasty. The 62-year-old coaching wizard faces his successor at Cleveland, 64-year-old Blanton Collier. It's the classic battle between teacher and student. In 1945, when Brown founded the team he named for himself, Collier was his assistant. In 1962, when Brown was fired, Collier took over. Paul Brown hasn't set foot inside Cleveland Stadium since. As might be expected, Brown's Bengals are no ordinary expansion team. They are the most successful new team for this stage of their development. Professor Paul has developed solid stars like number 30 running back Jess Phillips. And last year, his rookie quarterback Greg Cook was the talk of the league. Cincinnati was dealt a serious blow, however, when Cook was lost for the season with an arm injury. In this important game, Brown has decided to try Virgil Carter at quarterback. Carter looked good in a relief role last week, and Brown feels he has the intangibles needed to lead a pro team. Both Leroy Kelly and Bo Scott joined Bill Nelson on the Browns bench last week, so the usually explosive Cleveland attack sputtered against Pittsburgh. Nelson's injury was by far the biggest worry. The 8-year veteran has less publicized but far more serious knee problems than Joe Namath. Nelson has no cartilage left. Rookie Mike Phipps made his debut last week and made it spectacularly by coming off the bench and winning the game. He'll be ready if Nelson's knees falter today. But it's doubtful they will, for this is the game the Browns, Bengals, and Ohio fans have been waiting for. It's the return of the master and the beginning of a great new rivalry. A lot of people have waited for this one for a long, long time. I'm Andy Musser, and this is the NFL Game of the Week. The Cleveland Browns versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The new rivalry began with the Bengals having the ball. They immediately stung Cleveland with a Carter to Speedy Thomas pass, good for 24 yards. With the ball at the Browns' 48, Carter tried his ground game, led by Jess Phillips, but he found he could not run on the Cleveland defense. This set the pattern for the rest of the game. From the 50-yard line, Horst Muhlmann, the Bengals' German soccer-style kicker, put the Bengals on the board first. Cincinnati 3, Cleveland nothing. When Cleveland got the ball, they wasted no time in going to their major weapon, Leroy Kelly, on a screen that should have picked up good yardage. But Kelly, untouched, dropped the ball. On third down, Nelson's knee seemed to buckle, and though his pass was low, Kelly should have held on. Cleveland was stopped and had to punt. Cincinnati had the ball on the Browns' 20, and Carter went to the air again to Speedy Thomas for a 13-yard first down. Then, on a playbook-perfect screen pass, Paul Robinson raced 18 yards down the left sideline until he came to an abrupt halt. For the first time in this series, Carter stayed on the ground. A Phillips sweep that was good for 10 yards and another first down. Carter was mixing his plays beautifully, and the Bengals had Cleveland on the run. Carter went with the screen again, this time to Phillips, and though he got 8 yards, the Bengals were called for holding and penalized 15 yards. But nothing was going to stop Cincinnati short of the goal. And with 1st and 25 and great protection, Carter got it all with a strike over the middle to Eric Crabtree, good for 29 yards and another first down. At the Browns' 20, Carter rolled left and hit Crabtree again. A repeat of this key play shows Crabtree had a step on his defender, number 29, cornerback Walt Sumner. The pass was perfectly thrown, but the Bengal receiver slipped and lost the ball. Luckily, Sumner had also gone down, and the ball rolled right back to Crabtree. Cincinnati had another first down on the Browns' 2-yard line. The Bengals had driven 60 steady yards and weren't to be denied now as Jess Phillips propelled over the defense, and Cincinnati now led by a surprising 10-0 score. Throughout their short history, Cincinnati has made a habit of beating the big teams, as Cleveland was now painfully aware. Nelson got them started on their comeback with a sideline strike to Gary Collins. But when Cleveland went to their ground game, it was a different story. Number 66, All-Pro Gene Hickerson, took care of the corner linebacker for Big Bo Scott, but the Bengals' pursuit stopped him short of a first down. Kelly on a draw was introduced to Mike Reed, the Bengals' #1 draft choice, for a 3-yard loss. Obviously, the Browns would have to find another way to penetrate Paul Brown's defense. Nelson seemingly found it with a screen to Kelly, but just as he was in high gear, the excellent Bengals pursuit stopped him short of a first down. On the possession play, Nelson went to his clutch receiver, Gary Collins. Number 31, 5-year veteran cornerback Fletcher Smith stuck right with Collins and made the defensive play. The Browns' Don Cockroft punted 52 yards to the 4-yard line. So despite giving up the ball, Cleveland had put Cincinnati deep in a hole. The defense kept them there. After Phillips was stopped cold, Carter went back to pass and was swarmed under by Johnson for a safety. The Cleveland defense had not only asserted itself for the first time, they had outdone their offensive team by scoring. A repeat of this crucial play shows how the 275-pound Johnson looked to Carter as he came roaring in at full speed. The best Carter could do was duck to avoid being trampled. Cleveland had its first score of the game, and the Cleveland crowd finally had something to cheer about. After the safety, which made the score 10-2, the offense waited for its chance, which would be immediate, for the Bengals had to kick to Cleveland. So far, Cleveland's attack was almost non-existent. The Bengal defense had been bruisingly effective. If things were to change, now was the time. Cincinnati's free kick was taken by rookie Ken Brown, who was activated from the taxi squad the day before. He wasn't the deep back on the play, but he made the most of his unexpected opportunity. Brown's 32-yard return gave the Cleveland offense excellent field position on their opponent's 34-yard line as the first quarter ended. On the first play of the second period, Nelson split the seams of the Bengals' air defense with a strike to Milt Morin. The 240-pound tight end fought for a few extra yards. Then from the 9, Nelson went for the score. But number 13, Ken Riley, interfered with Fair Hooker, and Cleveland had a first down at the goal line. Typically of a Cleveland team, the Browns had taken advantage of their opponent's breaks to change the complexion of the game. From the 1-yard line, Nelson dropped back and passed to Kelly, who stepped in for Cleveland's first touchdown of the day. The Browns had pulled to within 1 point of Cincinnati, and the crowd of over 80,000, the 15th straight for Cleveland, went wild. The Cleveland defense, led by young Jack Gregory, had come in for some criticism the first 2 games, then rebounded to win the third against Pittsburgh. It was squarely up to them to stop Cincinnati and give the attack a chance to go ahead before the half. They dug in and did it so well that Cincinnati gained only 54 yards on the ground all day. The Bengals' 2 fine backs, Robinson and Phillips, got nowhere against Gregory, Johnson, and teammates Ron Snido, Jerry Shirk, Jim Houston, Billy Andrews, and Dale Lindsey. Cincinnati had to punt, and Cleveland had what it wanted most, possession of the football. The game seemed to be turning now. Leroy Kelly ran the ball with accustomed success. With the defense tightened for the run, Nelson attempted to loosen it with a fake to Kelly and a screen to Scott. The results were almost disastrous. The man who fell on the dead ball was number 82, defensive end Royce Berry. This time didn't count, but later Berry would get another chance. Bill Nelson stuck the Bengals with the same play. The fake to Kelly sucked in the defense, and this time Scott took the swing pass and glided 19 yards with it. Nelson returned to Kelly on 2 successive plays, and the All-Pro setback picked up gains of 8 and 14 yards to bring the ball to the Bengal 32-yard line. It looked like Cleveland was closing in for the kill. Then, for the first time, Nelson's protection was pierced. Royce Berry got his revenge by racing 58 untouched yards for the gift score. Cincinnati was now out ahead 17-9, and the Cleveland momentum had come to an abrupt halt. With less than 5 minutes remaining in the half, the Browns came right back. Nelson fired to Collins over the middle for 16 yards despite defensive interference on the pass. Then, as he has countless times before, Leroy Kelly came up with the big play. It was on the short screen designed to get Kelly loose behind a phalanx of blockers. The play worked perfectly, and when Kelly ran out of blockers, he supplied his own magic. Kelly's tremendous run had covered 55 yards. Nelson, on a play action to Kelly, made it look easy as he hit Miltmoren all alone for the score that brought the Browns back to within 1 point of the Bengals at the end of the half. Cincinnati 17, Cleveland 16. The first half had shown about as evenly balanced a game as there could be, with Cincinnati holding a 1-point lead. Now the Browns' strong offense began to dominate as the third quarter began. With the running of Scott and the timely passing of Nelson to Collins, Cleveland moved to midfield. But the Browns were here stymied by their own errors. First, a major penalty set them back. Then Nelson attempted a rare bomb, and the results were disastrous. Number 33, Kenny Graham, was the man who stole it and came to rest 31 yards later on the Browns' 36. On a repeat of the play, we see Nelson's play-action fake hold the defense in. His throw was on target, but safety Graham, helping out on the play, was able to get to the ball before the leaping fair hooker. Nelson had only thrown 1 interception on the season till this one, primarily because he rarely throws the long all-out bomb, which leads to such thefts. His mistake did not hurt, however, for the Bengals were unable to capitalize. Phillips looked tough charging out of the backfield, but he went nowhere, stopped by cornerback Walt Sumner. Then on third down, a valiant effort by tight end Bruce Coslett ended up as just another incompletion. Coslett, number 88, was playing for the injured All-Pro Bob Trumpy. Horst Muhlman attempted a field goal from the 39, but it too failed as Cincinnati gave up the ball. Three minutes later, the Bengals got another break. The Browns again had them stopped, but Muhlman's punt was misplayed and looked like a brown rubber ball as the Bengals recovered on the 23. This time they took advantage. Carter found Speedy Thomas for 8. Then on third down, he again looked for Thomas, but a fierce rush forced him to run, and Ron Snydell forced him out with a 10-yard loss. So Muhlman again came in, and this time hit one from 23 yards out. The Bengals increased their slim lead to 4, 20-16. The Browns' defense allowed only 1 first down for the quarter, and now their offense would try to gain the lead. A great save by number 20, rookie cornerback Lamar Parrish, stopped a Nelson to Collins attempt. So Nelson went to his other receiver, Fair Hooker, and made the crucial third down play work. This is the Browns' greatest asset. When they bog down, they are always somehow able to convert key third down plays. Then one of the important plays of the game occurred. Kelly was stopped and fumbled. But Kelly's teammate, tackle Dick Shafrath, scooped up the loose ball and was chased 30 yards to the Bengal 32. This break was followed by another. Nelson's attempt was ruled an incomplete forward pass, not a fumble, and the Browns kept possession. Nelson continued to work on the young Bengals secondary. He split Collins wide right, and Collins beat number 31, Fletcher Smith, off the line and to the ball on a quick down-and-out pattern to the Bengals 15 as the quarter ended. In a game of breaks, chalk up another one for Collier and Nelson. His pass here was deflected but fell right into Bo Scott's hands, and Scott rumbled to the 2 before a shot to the head felled him. First and goal to go, and no one stops Leroy Kelly with 4 downs from the 2. On first, he made it to the 1 before good pursuit knocked him out. And on the 14th play of this, a typical ball control Cleveland Browns drive, Kelly swept into the end zone behind his efficient line. The last quarter had just begun, and Cleveland, too, had just begun to roll, as they led for the first time 23-20. The Browns-Bengals game will be one of the truly emotional series in pro football history, and their first meeting was living up to its notices. Both benches were highly charged as the Browns tried to preserve a 3-point lead. After an exchange of punts, the game's biggest play occurred. Virgil Carter gambled with a pass on 1st and 10 from the 20, and it failed. The interceptor? None other than the old man, number 40, Erich Barnes, a man who gave Paul Brown similar headaches when Barnes was with the Giants and Brown with the Browns. On an isolated replay, watch Virgil Carter as he unloads, sees his unfortunate fate, and gamely goes after Barnes. And watch the block thrown on number 67, Wilson, by number 52, Andrews, to try to spring Barnes into the end zone. He didn't make it. Bo Scott almost did. Scott rumbled 5 yards to the 1-inch line, as you can vividly see. Scott did the honors on this, the insurance touchdown. With 7 minutes left, the Browns led by 10, 30-20. Nelson's injury had not bothered him, and he was sharp, calling his usual near-flawless game. No gambles against the odds. No costly errors in judgment. Neat and clean like a surgeon. Virgil Carter, however, would now have to gamble. He would have to force his hand, throw and throw some more, and hope his defense would get him the ball again after he scored. And score he would, throwing into the heart of the Browns' so-called rubber band defense, which stretches but rarely breaks. Carter and tight end Coslett maneuvered the ball downfield on 3 plays inside the Browns' 20. Carter finally caught the Browns in man-to-man coverage, and his perfect pass hit Speedy Thomas on a post pattern for the score. On a replay of the touchdown, watch Thomas as he makes the catch, then streaks between tackles at the goal. Cleveland 30, Cincinnati 27. 3 minutes to play. The scene was set. It was Blanton Collier, the student, versus Paul Brown, the teacher, in a duel to the end. Both watched intently as the ensuing kickoff was taken by Homer Jones. Would he go all the way as he did against the Jets on opening night? No, the Bengals covered well. Chalk one up for the teacher. The rest of the chalk, however, belongs to the pupil and his students. Just as Jimmy Brown used to do under Paul, so now did Cleveland's setbacks methodically grind out yard after yard as the clock was running with under 2 minutes to play. When Nelson had to convert a 3rd and 8 to keep it going, he went to Mr. Clutch, Gary Collins, and got it. Thus, the Browns were able to run down the clock until they had to give up the ball with just seconds left. Again, the pupil had learned well. He called for an intentional delay on the punt, so when the Bengals finally got it, they had only 1 play left. Carter never did get it off. The drama was over. Cleveland's 30-27 victory was sweet revenge. Revenge for a city, revenge for a team, and revenge for a man, Blanton Collier. Collier deserves much of the credit for his well-organized, efficient team that always seems to play well enough to win. But winning is a tradition in Ohio, a tradition which can be traced largely to his adversary, Paul Brown. So today, pupil beats teacher. But there are many classes to attend in the seminar on pro football. The teacher will be heard from again.